Signal with Benjamin Liles.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Maker Signal. I'm Benjamin Liles, and if you've been around this channel for a while, you may remember me, or honestly, it may have been long enough that you're sitting here thinking, wait, who is this guy again? Fair enough, it has been a while. So I thought the best way to start this podcast was to not pretend everybody already knows who I am or what I've been doing. I wanted to actually reintroduce myself, and at the same time explain what the Maker Signal is going to be. Because this show is really built around the things I care about most: faith, creativity, music, writing, technology, programming, artificial intelligence. And really the bigger question underneath all of that: what are we creating, why are we creating it, and what kind of signal are we putting out into the world? So a little bit about me. I'm somebody who has always liked making things. I write songs, I write books, I program, I build software, I experiment with AI. But my story goes a little bit further back. See, about 2 years ago, I had started my YouTube channel about the time that my marriage fell apart. And about that time frame, my car decided to go kaput on me. So I had to walk all the way back to the auto shop where my car was at the time to drop off my car keys. It was a 2-mile walk, and I believe I ended up having to walk 2 miles back as well that same day. And that was the beginning of my YouTube journey, and since then I have kind of not kept up with my channel very much. I eventually ended up taking my music, putting my music on a different YouTube channel. I wish I'd never done that, because right about now I would have around about halfway through monetizing my actual channel. So you live and learn. I may end up consolidating once more. I don't know. I really don't know. But this is to new beginnings. So anyway, I like taking an idea that exists in my head and trying to turn it into something real. Sometimes that's a song, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a program, sometimes it's something that doesn't even quite fit into one category. And that's actually part of why this show exists. Because I've realized over time that I don't really fit into one category either. I'm not just a songwriter. I'm not just a writer. I'm not just a programmer. I'm not just somebody interested in faith. All of those things are part of how I think and part of what I create. And I don't really want to separate them anymore. I may end up actually moving some of my music back onto this channel, my main channel, because I'm not liking the direction I've gone with my music, and I'd rather everybody see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So we're gonna get there eventually. So why this show exists? For a long time I think I mentally just kept everything in separate boxes. Faith was faith, music was music, writing was writing, technology was technology, programming was programming. But the more I've lived, the more I've created, the more I've started to realize those things overlap constantly. What I believe affects what I write. What I've learned from music affects how I think about creativity. And that's basically what this channel is basically about, the Maker's Signal. And I'll explain that here in a minute. What I've learned from programming affects how I solve problems. Technology changes the way all of us create, and faith affects the way I look at all of it. So instead of trying to choose one thing to talk about, I wanted to build a show where those ideas can actually meet. That's the Maker Signal. So why the name? The name has a couple of meanings for me. A maker is somebody who creates. That could be a musician, an author, a programmer, an artist, somebody building a business, somebody making videos. Anybody who takes an idea and tries to turn it into something real. And then for me, the word maker has another meaning too, because I believe we were created. I believe there is a creator. And I think it's interesting that created people have this instinct to create. We make music. We tell stories. We build things. We solve problems. We communicate. We invent. We imagine something that doesn't exist yet and then try to make it exist. I think there's something worth talking about there. And then there's the word signal. A signal is something being sent out, something meant to be received. It could be a radio signal, a digital signal, a musical signal, an idea, a message. Even the things we create are signals. They tell people something about what matters to us. So the maker signal is really about asking, what are we putting into the world? Why are we putting it there? What are we trying to say? And does what we create actually matter? What I'll end up actually talking about here. Now, I want this show to have some freedom. And with that, I don't want every episode to sound exactly the same. Some episodes may be about songwriting. I want to talk about lyrics, melody, choruses, genre, and why certain songs connect with people. Some episodes may be about writing books, not just the finished product, but the process. How an idea became a chapter. How a chapter becomes a book. How a small project somehow turns into something much bigger than you expected. It wasn't that long ago, I actually ended up writing a rather thin book like I wanted, which is roughly around 100 pages, but my previous attempt before that, when I tried to write a 100-page book, ended up being about more like 650. Now, imagine that for a moment. I was trying to aim for a certain page count, and it just blew up massively. If you've ever written anything long form, you probably know exactly what I mean. Case in point. Some episodes will be about technology, programming, AI, the tools we use, the opportunities they create, and the problems they create. Because I'm fascinated by AI, but I'm also interested in asking hard questions about it. When does AI help creativity? When does it get in the way? When is it a tool? When does it become a crutch? Can it help people create more? Can it also make people stop developing their own voice? To that question, I say no. It does not stop developing a person's voice. I think those are worth talking about. And then there will be episodes about faith, scripture, purpose, why we create in the first place, and how what we believe eventually shows up in what we make. And one thing I want to make clear from the beginning, when I say faith is part of the show, I don't mean I'm going to force a sermon into everything. I don't think every song has to be a sermon. I don't think every piece of software needs a Bible verse on the loading screen. That's not really what I mean. What I mean is that what we believe affects the way we live. And if creating things is part of the way we live, then eventually what we believe is going to affect that too. It affects why we make things, how we treat people, what we're willing to compromise on or not compromise on, what we think success actually means. That's the kind of connection I want to explore. The things that I want to explore, the things that actually connect us, and that's kind of where I want to go with the signals, with the maker signal here, is because when I think of the maker and the communication that goes out from the maker, it is about connecting with others. I mean, it's just natural. We are social creatures by means. I also want this show to be useful for people who create things independently. like I do. I'm an independent songwriter. I'm an independent publisher. I'm an independent author. People who don't have a huge team behind them. People who are figuring things out as they go. Because that's a lot of what I do too. You build something, you learn, you mess something up, you fix it, you try again. In fact, this is not the first time that I've shot this episode. This is maybe about the third or fourth time that I've done this episode, just to get it right, the way that I want to get it right. Sometimes you spend an hour solving a problem that turns out to be the one tiny setting that you missed. That seems to apply equally well to programming, recording audio, and life in general. So I want this to be a place where I can talk about the process honestly, not just the finished thing. And that brings me to another reason I'm doing this now. It is very easy to keep preparing forever. You can always convince yourself you need one more thing. A better microphone, a better camera, a better light, a better room, a better logo like the maker signal that you see there, a better plan. And preparation is good, but eventually preparation can become procrastination with nicer equipment. And that's the thing. I've had this equipment that I've bought since last year, and I do use it, but I've realized rather recently, I've got this microphone, and half the time I don't use it. What's the point of that? So I want to put to use the things that I've bought to actually do something with. So at some point you just have to start. Turn on that microphone. Turn on that camera. Make something. That's what I'm doing. This is episode 1. I'm not pretending everything is going to be perfect. It won't be. I'm going to learn things. I'm going to mess things up. I'll change things. The show will probably grow and evolve. But I can't learn any of that unless I actually begin. So this is me beginning. What you can expect. Going forward, you may see episodes where I'm just sitting here talking through an idea. You may see screen sharing episodes where I'm showing code, software, AI tools, music, or something I'm working on. There may eventually be guests. I don't know right at this moment. There may be episodes focused entirely on scripture. There may be episodes focused on songwriting. There may be episodes where I'm simply asking a question I don't think has an easy answer. But underneath it all, I want the show to keep coming back to the same basic ideas. What are we creating? Why are we creating it? What does it say about us? And what kind of signal are we sending out through the things we make? So if you remember me from before, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. And if this is your first time finding the channel, welcome. I hope you'll stick around. If you're interested in faith, creativity, music, books, technology, programming, artificial intelligence, or just the process of trying to build something meaningful, I think you'll probably find something here for you. I'm Benjamin Liles, this is the Maker Signal, and this is where faith, creativity, and technology meet. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.